Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So with this question, we need to first of all count how many sides this polygon has. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 sides. And we just need to know that a 10-sided shape is a decagon. Now we are expected to know all of the names of shapes between 3 and 10 sides. So if you don't know them already, just sit down and learn them. So we've just got to know some vocab. Faces are where you could lay your hand flat on a shape. Then you've got edges where you can run your finger along. And then vertices are the corners, the bits that you would stab into your finger. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the front, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, including the back ones. This question's all about like terms. So what we can do is we can add this 10u with this 11u to make 21u. We can also add this 6v with this plus 4v to make 10v. We can also add this 10w to this minus 6w. So 10 take away 6 is 4w, so plus 4w. But we can't add a u term to a v term to a w term. So we have to just leave them be. So our answer is 21u plus 10v plus 4w. But we can multiply them. We just can't add or subtract them. Something to realise in this table we're given in this question is that the triangle has 3 sides, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5, and hexagon 6. And that number is just 2 less than the number of faces. So basically, if you've got the number of sides, you add 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6, 5 plus 2 is 7, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So if we've got 20 sides, and we just do the same thing, so we're just adding 2, then we should have 22 faces. So our answer is 22. First thing I'm going to do is just copy down this diagram to the side here, just so we can kind of see what's going on a little bit more. Just extend this a bit. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is convert the measurements here into centimetres. So we've got 3,000, 5,000, 1,000, and we've got 6,000. And then I'm going to look at this scale here. Now this says that 1,000 in real life is 1 on our scale drawing. So this is just going to be 3 centimetres divided by 1,000. This is going to be 5 centimetres, 1 centimetre, and 6 centimetres. And then let's draw the diagram. So I'll do 3 centimetres. This is going to be 5, and so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 1 across here. And I'm going to do the left hand one, so 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just join them up as it shows on the diagram. And there we go. So to do this question, you just need a piece of paper, a ruler, and a protractor. And the first thing we do is we draw the 11 centimetre line. And my one will not be 11 centimetres for you. It is on my screen, but because depending on what device you watch this on will change obviously its length. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my protractor on this end here. So I've kind of got my protractor here. And I'm going to just have a look at getting 39 degrees. Now you've got to be careful because 39 is on the inside, and I'm just going to do a dot. So always look to see which one, the inside or the outside of the protractor, starts at 0, and the inside should start at 0 from this side. And I'm just going to draw a line that connects the end of that line and the dot. Like so. Now just you can keep it going. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is put my protractor on the other side. So my protractor is kind of here, and I'm lining up the crosshairs with this point here. But this time I'm measuring on the left hand side, and I'm looking at 59 degrees, which will be here. Get my ruler. Now this time I can actually stop where it hits the other line. So keep going and then stop where it hits the other line. This screen's not perfectly calibrated, so it's difficult to do precise work, something like that. And then what you can do is you can get your rubber and just rub out the extra bit of line that we had to do. And so this is our 39 degrees here, and you don't need to label this on the diagram, but just so we know what we're doing. And it says when it's completed, measure length x. So I'm going to get my ruler out, and I'm going to measure this length here, this one here, and it is about 95 millimeters. So the answer for me is 95 millimeters. Now there is some level of precision. You're not going to get necessarily exactly 95 millimeters. When we mark these questions, we normally have an overlay and we put it over the top, and if it's roughly the same, and you can make small errors because nobody's perfect, and my diagram definitely is not perfect, but there are allowable small errors here and there. So we're asked to reflect this shape along the line y equals x, and y equals x is a diagonal line where all the x values are equal to the y values. So at the bottom here we've got x is 10 and y is 10, so that coordinate would be 10, 10. And then obviously this coordinate 4, 4, etc. So we need to reflect it across this line. And so if I pick a point, I'm going to pick the top one. We can see it goes 4 diagonals to hit that line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so it will go another 4 diagonals. So that will be one of the coordinates there. And I'm going to do the same with the bottom one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. So it will be there. And then finally, I'm going to do this slightly harder one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of goes over the other one, ends up here. So if we join these up, and we need to label it B. To work out the circumference, we need to first of all work out what the diameter of this is, and to do that we just draw a line across the circle, and we can see the diameter is twice as big as the radius. So the diameter is going to be the radius times 2, which is 28. Formula for the circumference of a circle is just pi times the diameter, which will be pi times 28. Now to write this in terms of pi, which the question asks for, we just put the number first and then pi. So it will be 28 pi. So the question asks us to work out the bearing of the cinema from the train station. So from the train station means we're at the train station and we're looking at the bearing, which are always from north going clockwise, of the cinema. So it's this one here. To be able to do that, we need to remember a few bits about parallel lines. So we've got a parallel line here, and all lines pointing north are always parallel, and these angles make a kind of C with the parallel lines. We need to remember that they are interior, allied, or co-interior, depending on how you say it, but they are interior angles. And what we know about interior angles is that they add up to 180. So we're going to call this x, and we're going to say x equals 180, take away the 98 there. And so we just put on our calculator, or do it in our head, 180 take away 98, and you get the answer of 82. So we know that this angle here, instead of x, we know it's going to be 82. But the way we show bearings is with 3 digits. So it's going to be 0, 8, 2 degrees. So the rules of indices state that if you have a power inside and outside of a bracket, we just multiply them together. So it's 10 to the power of minus 12 times minus 12. 2 negatives make a positive, and 12 times 12 is 144. Sometimes it's easier with these questions to multiply both numbers by, say, 10 or 100 or 1,000. So if we look at the 0.06, if we times that by 100, it would make the question a lot easier. But with a division, if you times one of the numbers by 100, you have to times the other one by 100. So we just go times the 30 by 100, and times the 0.06 by 100 to make that 0.6. And this actually is the same calculation as 30 divided by 0.06. The reason being is that you can write that as a fraction. And you know with fractions, you can just times to the top by something and times the bottom by something. It doesn't change the fraction at all. It just keeps it exactly the same. So we're going to use the bus stop method to find out what that is. So we're going to divide that out. 6 doesn't go into 3, so carry that. 6 is into 30, go 5, 6 into 0, 6 into 0. So that's going to be 500. The important thing to realise in this question is that we know a female has been selected. So we can just basically get rid of all of this part of the frequency tree because it's not relevant, because we know a female has been selected. So there's 29 females altogether, and we're looking for the probability that the female chosen at random picked action. So it's just simply 16 over 29. The formula y equals mx plus c includes this m, and the m means the gradient. So if we're looking for something that is parallel to y equals 9x plus 18, we're looking at this number here. And for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same gradient. So we could just write y equals 9x plus or subtract anything. Or we could just write y equals 9x. I'm going to say plus 5. So we're told that from 14 people who liked football, so we've got 14 people here who said yes, they do like football. So we can fill up the 14 here. Now, we're told we started with 31. Therefore, if 14 liked football, then 17 must have not liked it. Carrying on the sentence, it says 4 like rugby. So 4 of those liked rugby. And we had 14 to start off with down this strand. And so that must mean that we've got 10 who don't like rugby. So of those 14, 4 liked rugby. So therefore 10 must have not liked rugby. But what about the bottom section? This part here. We've got 17 who didn't like football. Well, it says from the people who did not like football, 6 liked rugby. So we've got 6 there, and that must mean that we've got 11 who did not like rugby. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times the width. So here, to find the area, we will do the 10 times the whole of the 10t plus 4. And to show that we're doing the whole of it, we put it in brackets. So a different way of writing that is 10 brackets 10t plus 4. And whichever method you use to expand brackets, feel free to do it here. I'm going to just do the grid method, but whatever method you prefer. Actually, I don't need the, I've done too many here. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 10 times 10t plus 4. So and we're timesing them, so 10 times 10t, 10 times 10 is 100, so it'd be 100t, 10 times 4 is 40. So our answer will be 100t plus 40. So we know that James knows that he has a square, so we can actually get rid of all of this bit. It's not relevant at all to the question. And the question asks, what is the probability that the square is blue? Well, there are 3 blue squares, so it will be 3 over, and how many are there in total? Well, it says the total is 17. So the answer is 3 over 17. We know that when you multiply powers with the same base, and here we've got all these as base v, you add the powers. So we're actually looking at what do we add to 11, which is this one here, to get to the 15. 11 plus 4 is 15. So w therefore equals 4. There are a few different ways of finding out product of prime factors. I prefer using the bubble technique. So we just write the number out and we put a bubble around it. And we split that number into 2 numbers. So we find 2 numbers that multiply together to make that number. Now, I always pick the smallest that I can on the left-hand side. Now, the smallest I can think of is 2. And so 2 times 22 is 44. And now we think about 22, and that's 2 times 11. Now you might be thinking, why have I put the 2's in red? The reason why I've put them in red is they are prime numbers. We can't do another thing for the 2. Well, we can, it would be 2 and 1, but we'd be there all day doing 2's and 1's off the 2's. So we leave it as they are, and 11 actually is a prime number itself. So if I'm going to keep up with the theme, I can have that in red as well. Now, notice it says product of prime factors. So the prime factors are 2, 2 and 11. But the word product means times. So it's 2 times 2 times 11. Notice they're in ascending order. So it's 2 times 2 times 11. Now, if we were asked to do it in index form, we would write it as 2 squared times 11. We can rewrite this question as 2 over 3 divided by 20 over 1. So whenever you have an integer, it's just the same as that integer over 1. Now the rule is that we're going to keep, flip, and change. So we're going to keep the first fraction as 2/3, change the divide to a times, and flip the second fraction. Then we multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms. We can actually halve top and bottom here, and it does ask us to simplify it if possible. So our answer is 1 over 30. So we're looking to write a formula for the cost in pounds of hiring a microwave for X amount of days. So the cost is C, so it's going to be C equals, and it says it's going to be 55 pence a day. Now, it wants the answer in pounds, so we need to convert this 55 pence into pounds. So that's going to be 0.55, and it's going to be 0.55 times the amount of days. Well, it says the amount of days is X, so it's going to be 0.55x. Then it says that there's just a one-off cost of £15, so you're going to have to pay £15 regardless. So we're just going to add 15 onto that. So the answer would be C equals 0.55x plus 15. The most important first thing that we do is whenever you square something, you times it by itself. So we're going to rewrite this as x minus 15 times x minus 15. And then the way we approach this is exactly the same as we've done with the other ones. We're going to do a multiplication grid. And we're going to do x minus 15 at the top, x minus 15 at the bottom. Then we're going to do x times x, which is x squared, x times minus 15, which is minus 15x. Same again here. And then we've got a minus times a minus, which is a positive 225. Put all the terms together. Now you can see here that we've got the x terms here that will add together. So that would become minus 30x plus 225, and that's actually our answer. So it's x squared minus 30x plus 225. So the thing we know about triangles is their angles add up to 180. So what we can do is we can say w squared plus 84 plus w plus 3w equals 180. And let's just put that together. So it's w squared plus 4w plus 84 equals 180. Now, with quadratics, whenever we're looking to solve, we want to have it equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to take away the 180 from both sides, so it equals 0. So we've got the w squared plus the 4w, but we want to take away the 180 from it, which will give us minus 96 equals 0. So with quadratics, when we're trying to solve them, we need to put them into brackets. And to do that, we need two numbers that add together to make the 4 here and multiply together to make the 96 here. So just going through different numbers for 96, and you can try different ones. The first letter in the bracket would be w, first thing in the bracket would be w. And I think it's going to be, well, it's going to be a positive and a negative to get that negative there. 96 is 12 and 8, so it would have to be, let's have a think. It'd have to be a positive 12 and a negative 8 to add together to make a positive 4. And 12 times minus 8 is minus 96. That works. And to solve, we look at the left-hand side first and get that equal to 0. So w plus 12 equals 0, and then solve it. So get our lines in. Take away 12 both sides. W equals minus 12. And we get the left-hand or the right-hand side, get that equal to 0. W minus 8 equals 0. Lines in. Add 8 both sides. W equals 8. Now we've got two answers here, but it says value of w. Well, we can't have a negative angle. So we know we're looking for w to be positive. So the answer must be 8. So when we're doing column vectors and adding and subtracting them, we just literally add and subtract the top and bottom numbers. So a plus b minus c will be, just looking at the top, 9 plus 18 minus 9, 9 plus 18 minus 9, which will equal 18. And the bottom will be 9 plus minus 18, so really minus 18, and minus 9. And so that will be minus 18. So our column vector will become 18 minus 18. So this question is a simultaneous equations question. And so we're going to have to write down some equations. So it says 2 apples and 3 pears cost £3.80. So 2 apples, I'm going to call it A for the price of an apple, plus 3 pears, so 3p, cost £3.80. Now I'm going to do this as 380 just because it's easier to work with integers rather than decimals. And it says 3 apples, so 3a, plus 8 pears costs £7.80, or 780 pence. Okay, so the first thing I do is try and get these numbers the same. So 3 and 8, they both go into 24, so I need to make them both 24. And what some people do is they just label this A and this B. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to multiply everything in equation A by 8, so that this becomes 24. So it's going to become 8A. And so we're going to times the 2A by 8, which will be 16a plus 24p, and 380 times 8 is 3040. And we're going to do the same with b, but this time we're going to times it by 3, so we're going to have 3b. And we're just going through everything here and we're timesing it by 3. So 9a plus 24p, which is good, that's what we wanted. And 780 times 3 is 2340. So now we've got both of these the same coefficient. What we can do is we can eliminate going downwards. Now, if they are the same, the s in same is the s in subtract. If they were different signs, so if these weren't both positive, if one of them was negative, different, the d in different is the d in add. So here they are the same, so we are going to subtract, and we're going to subtract going downwards. So we're going to start off by doing, and I can just do a little line here to show what we're doing. So we're subtracting going downwards, and we're going to do 16a take away 9a, which will be 7a. 24p take away 24p, which is nothing, which is why we did that. It's to eliminate them. And then 3040 take away 2340 will be 700. Then I can put my lines in. And all I need to do now is just divide both sides by 7. And I get a equals 100. So we know that apples cost 100, or £1. We need to work out what pears cost. So I just need to pick one of the equations. I'm just going to pick this top one here, and I'm going to write it out. But instead of a, we know that a is £1 or 100 pence. So plus 3p equals 380. So that's going to be 200 plus 3p is 380. And then again, I'm just going to draw my lines down. And we're going to subtract 200 from both sides. So it's going to be 3p equals 180. And then we're going to just divide by 3 both sides. And we've got p equals 60. So a pear costs 60. Now we can check this by using the other equation there. So 3 times 100 is 300, plus 8 lots of 60 is going to be, what's that, 480? So it's going to be 780. So we know that we've got it right. So we're asked to express TQ in terms of P and Q. Well, we've got another Q here, because all of these are congruent parallelograms. And we have a P there. So if we're starting at T and getting to Q, we can go along this path here and down this path here. So we're going backwards down Q, in fact backwards down 2 lots of Q, and then the correct way down P. So it's either minus 2Q plus P or P minus 2Q. The equation of any straight line can be written as y equals mx plus c. So we need to find the gradient, which is m, and the y-intercept, which is c, for this line. Now, we are given a clue. We're told that it's parallel to this equation here, but we're not really interested in the plus 5 at the end. What we're interested in is what the gradient of this line is, which is 11, because all parallel lines have the same gradient. So we actually know what the gradient is for the line we're trying to work out. It's going to be the same because it's parallel, so it's going to be 11. So all we need to do now is find out what that plus c is. And what we're going to do is we're going to substitute in the values of x and y for the coordinate we're given on the line. So it's going to be 46 equals 11 times 4 plus c. And we just need to solve this. So first thing I'm going to do is just times the 11 and the 4 together to make 44. And then I'm just going to take away the 44 from both sides. So we get 2 equals c, or c equals 2. And we can put that into our equation. And that is our answer. So it's going to be 11x plus 2. So here we're just adding the column vectors. So we're going to add the tops. So 2 plus the 5 We're going to add the bottoms, minus 4 plus 6. 2 plus 5 is 7, minus 4 plus 6 is 2. So our answer will be 7, 2. So to answer this question, you need to just know the answer off by heart. There is a diagram that can help us actually get there. And if we just draw a right angle triangle and put the lengths as 1, not right angle here, we can use Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to work out the fact that this is going to be root 2. Because it's an isosceles triangle, this angle here is going to be 45 degrees, and same with the bottom right one, but we're not interested in that. When we label it with our marked angle here, we've got the adjacent is here, and the hypotenuse is here. Now we know from trigonometry that cos x equals a over h. The angle is going to be cos 45, and a is going to be 1, and h is going to be root 2. Now, this is a bit of a strange one with 1 over root 2, because we need to actually be able to rationalise the denominator. And basically what that means, if you haven't done surds yet, or you aren't doing surds, is you times tom 1 by root 2. And so we end up with root 2 over 2. So if you ever see 1 over root 2 is absolutely fine as an answer, but if you ever see the answer as root 2 over 2, the two are actually exactly the same. So writing 1 over root 2 is fine, or writing root 2 over 2 is also correct. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.